Fucking cunts.
Let's fucking kill them all.
Target's in my sight.
Wait, you can fucking do that, what?
Enemy UAV overhead. 5 targets remain.
Yeah, that money's dead, bro, so...
Gas is closing in. Relocating the safe zone. Allied cluster
Are they on the roof?
inbound.
Something like that.
Taking fire.
Well, gas they possibly go. Hey, we just pick it.
They're all that's left. Get it done.
Oh shit.
Contact.
Oh my god!
It's about to get heavy.
Okay, welcome to a new video. I keep getting asked about my settings and what I use, what are my color settings, what are my graphical settings. So I just want to spend a little bit of time to give back to the people watching that keep asking these things, and hopefully it entices more people to come watch and see the new content and stuff as well. So what I basically do, we're going to start with the color overlays. You can try and replicate these from the NVidia control panel. I don't really do anything from there because I do have a 3070 and I don't really experience any massive FPS drops from using overlays. However, you can mimic this from the NVIDIA stuff still if you wish. So start off with the brightness and the contrast. I don't like to overexpose the map, especially in Rebirth. It starts making everything like super yellow at the top of the map. So I tend to keep the exposure really quite level. Contrast, 15%. I do like to add a little bit of contrast in the colours, but not too much. Highlights I drop right down, and shadows I drop right down. I think this really helps for clarity in those dark corners and things where you really want to see. My map is always really lit up, like there's not really any dark spots, so I don't really struggle to see anything. But you know, naturally this game obviously has a lot of those, so anything you can do to peter that out with settings is going to be super helpful. Going back down, regarding gamma is really good in terms of it washes out the colour from your map, adds brightness without exposure. Exposure makes it super bright, so it's like there's extra sun. You just don't want all this like super lit up because it's just going to be like super glary and stuff. So alpha is a good way to get brightness into the map, but it's going to wash a lot of that colour out of the map as well. It makes it a very grey situation, and that's where Vibrance then comes in next. So then I come into here. My Vibrance is more or less scaled all the way to the top. Not all the way though, because I think if you go all the way you start making black blue, and if you make black blue, you've gone too far basically. Like your colours aren't true anymore. So when it comes to colour correction, you always want your blacks to be black and your whites to be white. They're always a good indicator of how the rest of your colours are going to be if you just base it around black and white. I always add a bit of temperature. I find the game is typically very cold naturally. You know, I'm dropping it down now. You see the blues come in and stuff. It's really not good for your eyes having white light as well. So I typically always add temperature just to give it a bit more of a warm glow. It's like a summer's day that way. It's a bit more pleasant to look at. It's definitely a lot more pleasant to play over a long period of time as well. Tint intensity and tint colour. This is all preferential really, but I feel like these give the best warmth and depth of colour, especially in Rebirth. So I'd recommend going for roughly the same. Lastly, Sharpen. I feel like this one's super important. Ignoring film grain 100% does, I feel like, adds clarity. I definitely would advise going for this. Intensity around 50%. This for me just seems to work. I feel like these NVIDIA filter settings are just super clean. Like I'm on Crash right now. And it's like a nice summer's day in Crash. And there's not a single dark spot on the map. I'm quite happy with being able to see everything here. So, you know, easy fights. So yeah. That's this one. We're now going to go into the menu settings. Full screen borderless. Again, I think you only really lose like 3 FPS if anything. I'm really not bothered about it. That for me is fine. You can play in full screen. I don't really notice any difference between the two when I play, so I just go for the one that allows me to tab across screens and stuff easier without problems and crashing and stuff. I've only just started changing to that within the last few months, but yeah, like I said, I've noticed no real problems, so I've stayed that way. I've got a new monitor yesterday, so hence we're at 360 refresh, and that I cannot tell you how OP that is. Like, that shit is just OP as fuck. If you can afford it, like, it's a no-brainer, do it. It's so fucking good. Right, going down through the quality stuff. I think the quality stuff's more important. We'll quickly finish on these. I don't think there's anything too special. I dropped the brightness down in-game and then buff it through the alpha setting. I've seen other content creators do this, like Tony Hawk, for example. He also has quite a low brightness. I think he's in the 30s. That made me really tinker with that a bit more and then mess around with the other settings to boost it back up. And you seem to just retain more clarity that way without getting too much exposure. So always want to try and avoid that exposure really if you can. Quality. These are the ones I really want to go through. Everything more or less is low. I just want to make sure that's known. Bullet impacts and sprays I have on just because I feel like if someone shoots over your shoulder and you see a bullet land and you don't hear it for some reason because the sound's off, at least you have a visual cue. It's the only reason I have that on. I used to play with it off just to save FPS because I think you get like 1-2 FPS out of it, but nowadays I'm not worried about the FPS as much. Particle quality is low. These two I keep normal, and I'll explain why very shortly. You can see in the picture quality what the differences are. In fact, I may as well go on to this right now. We'll start from the bottom and work our way up. So everything again here, disabled, low, all off in the shadows and lighting. You don't need any of it. It doesn't really give you anything. And all it does is take frames for no reason. Motion blur, turn it off. Turn it off if you want it. Add it in editing afterwards. Weapon motion blur, turn it off. That shit looks cool in a video maybe. I cannot play with it on, man. It's disturbing me. There's too much going on. Anything that can make smooth on the game means I'm going to track better, I'm going to see better, I'm going to react better. I'm an old school FPS addict. Like, I want everything as smooth as possible and I want all my best chances and best counter ability. So for me, these things are no question, you turn them off. It's a bit like subtitles. Subtitles are just there in the bottom doing nothing for you. You know, in fact, it's just visual clutter for your viewers when they're watching it. Turn it off. No one wants to see subtitles in a game. Fair enough if you've just booted it up and don't know where the setting is because they hide all these settings in deep fucking corners of the earth. But turn it off when you find it because honestly, it just looks crap in videos. It's just a bit too much when you're already trying to focus on what's going on. Anti-Aliasing. This is the main one I want to discuss. You can turn it off. You can. However, for me, I think that then becomes too much noise. You can go all the way to filmic. However, if I now apply this and go back, everything gets too smooth around the edges. When it comes to players, they get really, like, I don't know if you can see now, yeah, but that's getting really blurry over there. There's no crispness to the fence edge. Everything's almost getting, like, out of range and out of view. However, the minute you put this to SMA 1, all of a sudden there's just so much more clarity there. Like, that fence is just clearly cut. There's no smoothing going on. I can see that so much clearer. The clarity is insanely so much clearer. I just would not recommend using anything for anti-aliasing other than SMA 1. It just seems to get the best edges. There might still be a bit of like visual pixelation as such. I can't really find any true examples. But honestly, the clarity you get across the game is so much better. And this is where it comes to the model textures and things next. If you don't put these on normal and you have SMA 1 on, again, you lose quite a bit of quality. I don't know if it's really going to show it on this map as such. It's more about the player skins. That's what I'm more concerned about, and I haven't got those to show you because I'm in a solo game. But it's the player characters. If you don't have the textures just a little bit higher, I feel like you lose a lot of actual visual clarity and also a little bit of quality in your videos and stuff. So that's why I just put those to normal. You really don't lose any FPS, and the quality you gain from it is just so much nicer in content. So that's why I choose those specific settings. I'll put the anti-aliasing right down, and I'll make up for it on the texture resolution to bring the quality back, thus giving it much more of a rounded, more clear visual across the whole thing. I honestly recommend these as well. I have tried and tested so many variations. I've even paid for a guy to come and do some optimization on my game, and even his settings I didn't feel were that great. I feel like we optimized these even from his optimization. So, you know, I just had a lot of work go into these settings. I really do recommend trying them out. In terms of this, I would save the FPS if you don't want it. However, again, for a content reason and watching videos back, who doesn't love fucking gore, man? It's awesome. Tessellation you can turn off altogether. It really doesn't need to be done. It's only going to add more GPU pressure as such. However, it can just add a bit more depth to the game when you're running around, so I leave it on just near, and that is my quality settings. Right, I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you to everyone that's recently subscribed as well. I came out of hospital 2 weeks ago and was sat on 121, and we've gained 18 subscribers in like 2 weeks, so that's just crazy. I was gaining like 1 subscriber a week before, so this is like a huge boost for me, and I'm just mad appreciative. I just want to say thank you. So yeah, everyone that's taken the time to watch the videos, subscribe, like them, all of that, you're goated, man. Make sure you like this one, comment, tell me what you'd like to see more of. Happy to help and happy to do more content. There's going to be a lot more coming, so see you in the next one. Stay safe.